Welcome to this episode of The Underground Sound, the podcast for your mom's ass. My name is The Sheep, your glorious host, and today we're going to be talking with indie rapper, indie wrestler, and everything in between. I'm talking about Branden Cage, aka fka Lil Dymez. We're going to be talking about his rap career and all the different artists that he's had the chance to work with, including Whitney, Payton, and Lil Wyte. We're going to be talking about his indie wrestling career, including the time that he got his ass kicked legit by Peter E. Beautiful and powerbombed on a bed of nails. We're also going to be talking about all things in between, including a little bit of Suicide Squad and the Joker, Jared Leto, as well as a little bit of the Juggalo Gathering for those interested in that. It's going to be a great episode. Branden Cage, a.k.a. Lil Dymez, Underground Sound. Check it out. Alright, we're here with Branden Cage, aka or fka, formerly known as Lil Dymez. What's up, Branden? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty damn good. But I just kind of wanted to talk with you about your career, you know, your music shit, what you're doing with your music, get into some wrestling, some other stuff like that. First thing I wanted to ask you about was the name change. You know, we touched on that, you know, formerly known as or also known as Lil Dymez. How do you, what's the scoop on the name change?
The name change for me was a big part of maturity, really. Like the Lil Dymez, I don't know, it's kind of more of a gimmick, and I feel like just using my real name is kind of a better route for me as far as evolving as an artist. Like the Lil Dymez, I'm not a little kid anymore, and I know some artists that have Lil in the name to keep that, and it's kind of like you're not really Lil, you know?
So it's kind of like symbolic of you stepping out of your youth and kind of stepping into the next chapter of your career, more mature, more yourself, less gimmicky.
Right, way less gimmicky, and it's kind of along the lines of not having myself in that box too, because as you know, when I first started, all I did was like the horror scene, like the horrorcore, and now I'm kind of trying to just evolve and do life music, which touches on everything, touchy subjects. You know, I still do the horror, but I like to at least try to step it up and write about everything that's going on in my life rather than just the horrorcore.
So you feel like as Lil Dymez, you were kind of pinned down to just kind of sticking with the horrorcore and that sort of stuff, whereas now you feel like you can just be a free artist and do whatever you want.
Exactly, and that's kind of what I wanted to do with it, and I've only released one album as Branden Cage right now, and that was kind of a start to finish, well, from the start to present of what's gone on in my life, bad and good. So that's kind of why I wanted to start with that as my last album, so I can kind of branch off from there and show my evolve.
Yeah, I noticed that with the song that you sent me recently, it didn't sound like a lot of your older stuff, you know. It wasn't as horrorcore as you know, like you said. I mean, it definitely still had an edge to it, you know. You're not watered down or anything by any means at all, but it seems like you have evolved quite a bit.
Right. That's what I was kind of going for, just not softening up per se, but just showing that I'm not stuck in that horrorcore box, because I feel like if you just do horrorcore, that's the only fan base you're gonna get.
Right. Yeah, and it's a good fan base to market your shit to, you know. I mean, it's kind of built in. It's easy to market to, but it does kind of limit you to who's going to listen to your type of music, you know.
Exactly, and I love the horrorcore scene, don't get me wrong, but I do have a lot of people that I want to work with that are not that type of music, and I feel like I have to kind of prove that I can do that type of style as well, just so I can kind of get into that zone and get different connections from different genres of rap.
Right on. Well, were you, when you were a kid, were you into rap music? Was that something that was always kind of part of your life, rap, hip hop?
That's the first music I knew. My mom was actually the first person to really introduce me to it. She was always listening to Bone Thugs and Harmony and Tupac and all the greats from the 80s and 90s. Like, that's what she listened to, so I kind of grew from that, and then my brother as well, so it was always around me, the hip-hop. I mean, I liked other music too, but hip-hop was always the main source of, I guess, expression.
Right on. How did you end up getting started being an artist?
Well, when my dad left my mom, I kind of started writing. My mom brought me to, like, counseling, actually. Weird story, like, she brought me into counseling, and they said, get him art pamphlets and things to paint, get him instruments to express his anger, because I had an anger problem. And she got me a tape player and a tape recorder, and she had one of our neighbors put, like, beats on it, because she knew I liked hip-hop, and I just started writing, and I was really young. I was, like, 11 years old, 10, 11 years old, and I just wrote poetry at that time. I didn't realize that it would, you know, evolve into rap songs, but I just kind of expressed my anger through hip-hop music.
So when you started, it wasn't even, you weren't necessarily a recording artist, it wasn't even necessarily making songs, you were just kind of writing poetry, or, you know, writing lyrics almost even.
Yeah,
using
exactly.
Some of the
and
beats
just
on
kind
the
of,
tapes.
yeah, just blasting out whatever frustrations and anger I had at that moment in time, and just laying it out so I could, I don't know, I guess, express the anger.
And was that a good outlet for you, being able to do that? Did you notice a change in yourself at that time then?
It was a good way for me to express myself without, you know, doing the old punching walls and breaking stuff. I mean,
right.
It's what the counselor suggested, and it worked out. And I mean, now it's something I had no idea back then was going to be something that I had a passion for. It was just me doing what my counselor told me, you know. People don't realize that, especially with that horrorcore style, like, they think because of the things you're saying that you're going to, like, go out and do that type of shit. But to me, it's like hearing it and then expressing it, saying it, or writing it makes me not do it.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and people don't understand that. I remember, funny story, my mom and my stepdad at the time found one of my notebooks when I was in junior high, and it had a bunch of, you know, like, horrorcore stuff in it, like talking about killing people and shit, and they actually brought me to talk with a counselor. So there was that whole thing of, like, you know, do you really feel like this? Are you going to do something? It's like, no, man, I'm just writing and I'm just expressing myself.
I had similar situations, getting put in psych wards and things like that because of things I've written down or drew, painted, just messed up to the outside, but inside my head it was just a very good expression, so I wasn't doing what I had in my head, I guess. I don't know.
And for me, I think, and it was what drew me initially to the juggalo scene. Do you feel like that's something where you got into the horrorcore music or the juggalo culture because, you know, you could identify with that type of music and art because of how you were expressing yourself?
I definitely do. I mean, if it wasn't for the juggalo scene and the music itself, like, I probably would have acted on a lot of my thoughts as a kid. It was, I don't know what the word would be, but if it weren't for songs like Twisted Die Motherfucker Die and Fuck the World by ICP, you know, those songs, to me, while I listened to them, it was like I had somebody that felt the same way I did. So
right.
didn't feel like I was alone in it, that nobody else in my personal world understood. But it's like listening to them, they understood my feelings, so I didn't feel so alone.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, that culture. I mean, I wouldn't really label myself a juggalo at this point. I think I've kind of outgrown that a little bit. I mean, I still listen to all that music, but I don't really like go to shows much or anything, you know, don't actively participate like I used to. But I think a lot of people that don't understand that culture or look down upon it don't understand, you know, maybe they didn't come from that sort of place in their life. But I think that's what drew me to it, that's what drew you to it. I think that's the appeal of that culture, is these are people that think, feel, and act the same way. And it's something that, you know, when I was in school, high school, and probably the same exact thing for you, you know, I didn't have a place. I wasn't a jock. I wasn't this, that, or the other thing. I didn't belong. And when I found that, I was like, oh, that's my shit. You know, everything, you know, in all of it, too. The horror movies, the wrestling. I mean, it was just like every single thing I was already into. It was like I was a juggalo before I even knew what a juggalo was.
I feel you on that one. It's like my lunch table at high school was the land of the misfit toys. Like, none of us belonged to that type of group that, like you said, we weren't jocks, we weren't preps, we weren't emo or goth or any of that, but we were juggalos, like you said, before you even knew it. And it was just there. And once I kind of got more into the actual world of juggalos, I realized I've been that for years and didn't know it.
And I think that's why I've always clicked with you. I mean, I've always liked you. You know, we get along pretty well. I don't think we've ever had any kind of beef or anything like that. You've always been super cool with me. But do you feel like, do you get a lot of hate from other artists, other just people in general for what you do or how you present yourself?
Always. Like, the hate it's out there. I mean, there's even a I Hate Lil Dymez Facebook page. And
oh, you have you have a Facebook page dedicated to hating on you?
Yeah, it got made back in like 2012 or something like that. And there's like fake accounts made with my real name, and they like just, I don't know, they put like my sexual orientation as gay, like very immature things. Just very immature things. And it was like the stuff they were saying was more horrorcore than the shit I say in my rap. They're like saying they're gonna shoot me on stage and stuff, and I'm like, that's more horrorcore than the stuff I say, and you guys are jocking me for the stuff I say. But
yeah, the hate, that's fucked up.
The hate is only gonna bring people like me, like you, anybody else that wasn't the so-called popular kid, whatever you have it, you know, up in life. I mean, the hate is what brings motivated people up.
Right, yeah, absolutely. That's what pushes you to, pushes you to do what you do and to be, I don't know the word for it, just, be the best, be better at it, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like other artists themselves, like, that don't understand the horrorcore type thing, you know, on kind of how it works. When they either insult me as an artist or write something against me and then I rebuttal, they expect, I guess, something more watered down, but they don't understand, like, the horror side of me. I'm gonna say some ridiculous ass shit, and that's just gonna be how it is. I've already been saying ridiculous shit. You shouldn't expect anything less from me. If you say you're going to kick my dog and in my rap, I'm going to kill your parents. You know?
Right. That's exactly it, too. When did you, at what point did you turn from writing and the poetry and just kind of listening to the beats on tape or whatever to actually being a recording artist and putting together songs?
Well, putting together songs-wise, I would say around 16-ish, 15, 16,
You were recording your first songs around 15 or 16?
Yeah, recording. But before that even, as I stated, my mom was kind of the one who got me into it. When I kind of found that I was actually making music, my mom was the one that kind of pushed me to either go to different places that I could and try to, like, rap for people. Not necessarily doing, like, shows or anything like that, but, like, just kind of presenting my songs before they were even recorded, just playing, like, a beat for people, trying to get myself out there. But I know that, I think it was back in, like, 2005, 2006, I recorded my first album, like, actual, I would call a length album. You know, I don't know if you would call it mixtape or album in your eyes or not, but it was the first one I actually took the time where I recorded at least like 15 songs for a CD, made a cover, things like that.
Right on. So you actually recorded a CD, made a cover, pressed up copies, and sold that album?
I didn't sell it. I did. Not that one, not my first one. I pressed them, but I gave them away just to get the name out.
Get your word out, yeah.
Right, and that actually, that whole first real album in my head was actually when I was in a rap group here in Escanaba with Dylan, or D.I.'s, and Teddy G, when we were all in a rap group together.
No shit. That's kind of a clash of styles, isn't it? Or were they different, or were you different at that time? Because I didn't know that. That's kind of surprising.
Yeah, we actually called ourselves the 906 Squad, and it was a very clash of styles, and I think that's kind of why I didn't work with that group. And why I kind of fell out of it like a year or so later, because I only recorded that with them after that album for maybe a couple months after that album, because you can tell in the style. When I even listen to it to this day, I'll show my friends and stuff, I'll show them, because they're all on my tracks, like for almost the whole album. They'll listen to it and it's like, the style is just way off. Like, there's a song called Money Pile Up actually on it, and it's talking about making money, you know? And like all of their verses, there's like 3 other people on it besides me. It's like making money and like stacking bills like in like a proper way, and I'm talking about like robbing banks and getting drunk, waking up with no shoes on and shit, and it just didn't make any sense.
That's great though.
Yeah, I mean, we tried it.
Do you get along with them at this point, or at that point, or was there a falling out?
At this point, yeah. At this point, yeah. We had a really, really, really rough patch, if you want to call it that. And at this point in time, no. I mean, I've done every possible thing I can to squash that. And, I mean, me and Dylan still talk. Like, I don't know, I mentioned having them on my newest album. I mean, sent them a few things. Haven't got nothing back yet, but I mean, it's all to do with really time, you know. If I get something back in time, then he's on the album. If not, then he's not. And same with Teddy G as well. I sent him a song, and, you know, hopefully they do hop on it. If not, I mean, time's the essence when you're trying to put out an album. They understand.
Are they still doing music then?
I don't know if they're steadily recording. I'm not 100% sure on that. I really don't know on that one. I've talked to them here and there about it and just kind of sent them what I had for my album, but honestly, as far as their projects, I'm not 100% sure.
Right on. So at this point, everything's cool with them. Any beefs with anybody at this point?
At this point, locally, no. I mean, there's a few out there in random states that honestly I just don't even know where they came from. I think it's just like shared out through the juggalo scene, and some of them are juggalos themselves. just hating on, I guess, hating on juggalos hating on juggalos.
Well, that's what juggalos do, especially nowadays. I mean, they got that new artist, the Blase Rose, and man, does she get fucking hate on, like,
she gets hammered.
Hardcore hate. And I mean, I kind of see why a little bit. I mean, you know, reading that whole story about how she came to be on the label, but at the same time, I mean, they preach, you know, love and all that shit and family, and you know, and then they go on the internet and talk shit about each other. So
yeah, see, that's the difference between juggalos like us growing up, and then this new family era juggalos. Like, there's a huge difference in how they act and how they react to people. Like, they feel like they have grounds to say whatever they want about anybody, but I guess that's kind of the thing with being a juggalo too. But they talk shit about their own people.
Do you think that comes with the advent of the internet and like just social networking in general? Because I think that goes beyond even the juggalo world, as far as everybody having an opinion and thinking their opinion matters, and everybody talking shit from behind a computer. You think that's just kind of just the era that we're in at this point?
I think that is exactly it. You nailed it on the head. I have a very big love-hate relationship with social media. See, I love it because if it weren't for social media, artists that are good, like I consider myself good. If I don't consider myself good, why am I even doing it?
Right.
But if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be able to just message like Bazaar from D12 and be like, hey, I'm going to send you a tweet, how much for a track or whatever. I wouldn't have been able to do that in the 90s or early 2000s. I would have to like legitly tour for months on and like build my name, but that's probably like the glory of eventually getting to do songs with them. I mean, that's kind of, I guess there's a shortcut to everything, but I do have a hate part of it too, because everyone can put their songs out now. And it's so watered down with artists that it's hard for record labels and good artists that are already known to pick out which artists are going to do real work touring, which artists are legit artists, because it's like you got maybe a handful of good artists surrounded by thousands of shit artists. I mean, not to talk shit about any other artist, but I'm just saying, you know, like anybody can get a USB mic, record a track, and throw it on the internet for somebody to view.
I think what separates the men from the boys in that game at this point is time and consistency. I think there's a lot of people that'll do, you know, a couple songs or whatever and call themselves rappers. But I mean, you know, then there's the people like us that have been out there. You know, I'm not real active at this point, but I mean, hell, I was in the rap game for 10 years. You know what I mean?
Right,
grinding, doing albums, doing shows, networking. You know, you're constantly on the hustle, constantly trying to keep your name out there and just putting in the work. And I think that's what gets you noticed in the long run.
Yeah, there's a difference between sitting on your computer all day, sending out tracks, and then making tracks, making albums, and then performing them, steadily grinding, like you said, and actually pushing your album. There's a big difference, because I know there's artists out there that just sit around at home, record stuff, and throw it on the internet, and they call themselves rappers. And it's like, well, you're in-house studio rappers. I mean, that's not really a
time and investment in yourself too. Yeah, I know you've gone the route of investing in getting bigger, more established name artists on your albums. That shit costs money that a lot of people just aren't willing to pay for, but that's the kind of thing, one of those things that you need to do to help get your name out there. For me, it was going and doing shows out of town, out of state for no money, paying for the gas to get there. You know what I mean? Just hoping to sell a couple shirts or CDs to break even.
Oh yeah.
That's the hustle, you know what I mean? That's the indies.
Oh yeah, I've been there, brother. I know that struggle.
Right. And that's what makes you a real artist, you know, compared
Yeah,
to
if you're not gonna
most.
struggle at all, if you have no struggle in your rap career or whatever genre you do, I don't really consider that an artist, to be honest, because you have to have some sort of struggle in your career. Or if everything's just handed to you, that's not really an artistry at all. You gotta have some sort of struggle for you to appreciate it.
Right. So, what are your goals as an artist at this point? Like, do you want to be signed to any label, or are you looking to just get on tours and kind of be your own independent artist? A lot of people are doing the indie. I mean, there's indie labels, but I mean, I think nowadays a lot of artists are, you know, like a Mad Child or a R.A. the Rugged Man. They're just kind of their own entity without necessarily trying to tie themselves to a label. What's your goals or your direction at this point?
Direction-wise, after November, instant touring. That is already set in stone plan, and that's kind of going along with this record release that I'm working on now. I'm kind of finishing up the last little bits of that. And as far as label-wise goes, it would really take a legit in-depth contract for me to sign it. As far as record labels are these days, if I was offered a record label in the 90s, 2000s, like early 2000s, I would sign that in a heartbeat. But nowadays, you don't make the money with record labels like you used to.
Right.
And like you said, the independent way, like you said, like Hobson's doing things like that, that's honestly the way to go with our generation, I think. This generation is kind of built on more independence, and the record labels aren't really pushing what they used to be. You know, they can offer you what seems like a large amount when you first get signed, but then they charge you over half of that for recording and things like that. It actually, I mean, one of the biggest artists in my book for newcomers, well, he's kind of a newcomer, but like MGK, he signed with, you know, Bad Boy Records. He even talks about it in his songs and mixtapes that the amounts he gets paid, he's blowing in studio time. Like he's got money, but he doesn't have the money that everyone thinks he has, because all of that goes towards touring and towards, you know, merchandise and album presses, studio time, everything like that costs big money.
Right. I think a lot of people don't realize that. I mean, not only, like you said, the music industry just in general isn't making much money these days. You know, you're not making money off your music anymore. It's free on the internet. It's really just kind of your tool to do shows, do merchandise, just kind of, you know, it's your tool to get your foot in the door for other things that can make you money. And then even if you are signed, I mean, you know, people think like, you know, if you're a signed artist, you make a shit ton of money, and that can be true for some, maybe on the bigger level, but people don't realize whatever bonus or whatever signing, whatever they sign you to and whatever they pay you for, most of it's in advance that comes back out of your pocket when it comes to them recording your album in the studio, getting it pressed up, marketing it, promoting it, doing your tour, doing your merchandise. All that comes back out of your pocket. And there's artists that are, you know, big time artists. I believe like Kesha's one who's been on records, and she's been broke it. I don't know if she is now, but
well, what happened with her, she can't even perform her hit songs because she left her label. Well, didn't technically leave it. She's still under contract, and she wasn't happy with the label. She can't even perform her hit songs on stage anymore, so she's kind of screwed. She's not allowed to put out albums unless it's under that label, and she doesn't want to work with that label no more. So she kind of has to do what Young Buck did when him and 50 Cent had that beef. He had to wait for somebody to buy his contract out, and nobody did. So luckily for him, you know, G-Unit worked back together and they're together again. But like for Kesha, Like, she's solo act. She's got to wait for somebody to buy her contract out for her to make music.
Yeah, and that's fucked, man. It is, but it's part of the game, and I think that's why people are independent nowadays, and that's the way to go.
I mean, could you imagine that? Like, you got songs that everybody knows, and you can't do a show and perform them because of a contract. That's fucked.
Yeah, big time. What are some of the bigger name artists or more well-known artists that you've either recorded a track with or done shows with?
Well, as far as what I already have done track-wise, Whitney Payton is one of my favorite collabs that I've done. She's one of my favorite female artists. I've got a song, and these are all just on my last album. My last album has Whitney Payton. I did a song with Mars, and I don't know if you still are cool with Mars, but he's been one of my favorite horrorcore type rappers. So, and then Lil Wyte, and that was most definitely a bucket kicker for me. You know, one of those things I put on my bucket list as far as people to work with.
Right.
And with him, it wasn't even like, you know, as I stated earlier, it wasn't like, oh, I sent him a tweet and we figure something out. Like, I met him at the gathering and we just talked about it. And I told him how big of a fan I was and how much I wanted to work with him. And he just had me rap for him on the spot. He's like, well, if you got skills, present them. And I rapped for him and he liked it. So he's like, all right, we'll work something out. Let's just figure this out now. And I told him the concept. He was down for it. And we just worked from there. It wasn't even like, you know, that just internet way of doing it. It was like old style way of doing it. And I kind of like that.
Do you feel...
Huh?
Go ahead.
Oh, as far as working with him again, I have a track ready for him and already sent to him, just waiting for it to come back.
To be on your next album?
Yeah.
Right on. Do you feel like you've got a good rub from using those artists on your album? Like I talked about earlier, that's an investment in yourself as an artist. Using those bigger names on an album is a way when you're promoting it. If they haven't heard of Branden Cage, you know, they've heard of Whitney Payton and Mars and Lil Wyte. So, you know, it's like, well, if he's got these guys on the album, I'll give it a listen. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how you can build a little bit of a name for yourself on a new market. Do you feel like you've gotten that rub from them? Was it worth the investment?
It was most definitely worth the investment. Even if it wouldn't have worked out, getting more hype towards the songs and more people to check me out, even if that didn't happen, personally working with them was, I don't know, it was more personal than anything. I mean, yeah, I want my albums to do good, of course, and that is one reason why I put artists like that on them, but it was more personal for me, like just people I knew I wanted to work with. Like, new album, like I mentioned, I have one for Lil Wyte. I got one song that I am going to do with Bizarre from D12. He's got the track already. And then Sin from Zug Island, this was also done the old style way. I was kicking it with him at the last gathering I was at, and we just talked about doing music because I, again, mentioned how big of a fan I was, and, you know, I still dig the Zug Island. I love Zug Island. And he just, like, emailed me maybe, like, 2-3 months ago, and he had my cell phone number, and, you know, as I talked to you earlier, my phone's gone. He emailed me because I had given him my email at the gathering. I gave him a little card with all my info on it, you know. He emailed me, and he's like, well, what's up with you, man? You haven't gotten at me. And I was like, is this for real? Like, Finn from Zug Island. Like, I've listened to him a long time ago.
Right.
And he's emailing me, asking me why I haven't gotten a hold of him. So I was like, all right, I must have made a good impression, you know? So we got something rolling for the new album on that, as well as Jarren Benton. will be on that same song. Sin is going to do the chorus, and then Jarren Benton's going to do a verse on it, and it's called Tongue Twister. And they basically,
I fucking love Jarren Benton. His shit.
I love Jarren Benton too.
I mean, I almost like him better than Hobson. I think I like Hobson a little bit better, but I mean, them coming from the same camp, that's where I discovered him. Man, holy shit, that Grandma's Basement album, wow.
I love Grandma's Basement. I like all his mixtapes before that too. Like, he's got that crazy style that I like, you know.
Very crazy.
Hobson has a crazy style too, but he's more like, I like his deeper songs better. Mm-hmm. And Jarren, like, I don't really care. I mean, I like Jarren's deeper songs too. They're all right, but I could look more for that crazy out-of-the-wall style from him. I love Jarren Benton.
Crazy fucker with a raccoon hat.
Right?
That's awesome. So, working with these artists, not just a way to help get your name out, but artistically too, just people that you want to work with, because even though music is it's a business, it's also art at the same time. So artistically, these are people you wanted to create art with.
Yeah, and I mean, I've loved D12 since they came out. I mean, that's why I wanted to work with Bizarre, and that's kind of what it goes down to too. I mean, I could probably pay a different artist that would get more pop off of a song. I mean, because D12 isn't really steadily rolling in tours, you know?
Right.
I mean, I could throw some money at somebody else that would get a little more pop or whatever with the new generation, but that's really not what it's about for me. I like the fact that I listened to him as a kid. So me doing a song with him makes my day. It might not make anybody else's day, but it makes me happy. So.
Right on. Well, yeah. I want to kind of transition away from music a little bit here. We can touch back onto it towards the end here, talk a little bit more about your upcoming projects, but wanted to get into some other topics. But before we even do that, we had talked a little bit online about the new Joker, so I kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit with what are your thoughts on the Suicide Squad movie in general, and you, just to set the stage for anybody listening, really caught me off guard by saying that you think that Jared Leto's Joker is your favorite Joker. Explain this, because I just don't get it.
He is, most definitely. Well, first of all, the whole movie in general, I went to see that in the theaters like 6-7 times, something like that. I went to see it so many times it was ridiculous. And I just loved it. But the reason I have to say that for Jared Leto being my favorite Joker, and I do love Heath Ledger. I love Heath Ledger, but it's something in the way his demeanor is, I guess. Like, his psychoticness is just, I don't know, it keeps me guessing. Like, I didn't know what he was going to do. He wasn't in it a lot, and that kind of brought me more questions. Like, is he going to pop up here? I don't know. Like, Heath Ledger was in the movie the whole time, so I could kind of, like, just knowing how the Joker works, kind of see where he was going. Like, It didn't keep me guessing as much as, like, is Jared Leto gonna just pop up here and just randomly do something? Maybe, maybe not. And I can see from his actions in the Suicide Squad, like, he's definitely got a lot of open potential for upcoming DC movies. Like, he kind of threw it out there like he was gonna be, but he didn't tell you. So it keeps you, like, kind of guessing, is he gonna be a part of this? Will he be a part of the new Batman? Will he be in Justice League? You know, he kind of throws hints out like that, like he's gonna be, but you just don't know exactly.
Right, and he's obviously there was a lot that was cut from Suicide Squad. He had a lot more of a role in that movie. But for as much as he was promoted to be a part of the movie, he's almost like I don't want to say he's a cameo. You know, Batman was a cameo in the movie. He appeared like twice. But Joker's really is kind of just like a side character. He's not really part of the main plot at all in this movie. He's just kind of like there. And he's almost written to be like almost like the chaos element in the movie, you know?
Right. See, I have a lot of the like Suicide Squad comics and like the graphic novels, and I read those. But that's how Joker is in those. He is not a main character of the Suicide Squad. He's not a member of the Suicide Squad. He's like their frenemy. He'll help them out here and there, but then he'll sidekick them from the side, and just kind of rip Harley away from them. And that's kind of what he's been. And I honestly thought, I knew he had a lot of parts cut out of that movie. Everybody got really mad about that.
He was mad about that. He's been
he was
very vocal about it. He said it in many interviews.
I thought more on a business aspect of it. When they put out that DVD with the extras, everybody's going to buy it. That's kind of the way I thought of it. Like, let's cut out a bunch of them, and then when we put out that DVD that has like an hour extra long of Joker scenes, everybody's going to buy it.
Is that the plan? Are they just going to put all that cutting room floor shit on the DVD?
I heard a lot of things from like DC Universe as far as that goes. Like, even I think Jared Leto had an interview where he's talking about like they did with the Batman vs Superman. They did like an Ultimate Edition. He mentioned an Ultimate Edition, and I was like, wow, that makes sense business-wise, because if you cut out a bunch of stuff that we all want to see, and then you throw it on a DVD for sale, I'm gonna buy it.
Because what I get from it, I almost thought, watching the movie, that it was almost a good idea to kind of cut a lot of that stuff if they plan on doing more future movies, because I think they just kind of hinted at and touched on his relationship with Harley and how he fits into this new DC universe for the movies, whereas I think a lot of what they filmed told a lot more of a backstory, and I think it was almost a better option to kind of leave that a little bit vague so that they can tell that story later in other movies. Like, Harley's getting her own movie. I'd like to see Joker be a big part of that and have a lot of that backstory that they cut out of this movie either be edited into that movie, or just, if they do put it on the DVD, at least just kind of retell that story in Harley's movie, or however they want to do that.
Right, and I was thinking the same way with the new Batman movie that they're coming out with Ben Affleck as Batman. They haven't said who the main villain was going to be yet, but at the end of Suicide Squad, when Joker bursts into the cell to save Harley, he says, "Let's go home." Home being Gotham, right. And now there's going to be a new Batman movie. It kind of like hints that that's kind of where they're going with it, but we don't know yet.
I wouldn't mind seeing Deadshot, Will Smith's character, being involved in the new Batman too, because they did that scene where it was Batman that busted Deadshot when he was with his daughter, and I thought that left the door open for Deadshot to want to get his revenge on Batman too. On a future. I mean, there's just so much that they can do with this universe. I've always been big on DC more than Marvel. I'm a big comic book guy too. I don't like Superman and all that shit, but Batman, I'm obsessed with fucking Batman and the whole Batman universe. Yeah. And
I think they could make that work with Deadshot too, because like even in the end little part where it shows them getting their perks from doing the Suicide Squad mission, like he gets to go to see his daughter in person, like that's an easy escape for somebody that's a trained killer. So you never know.
Right. And I think for me, Ben Affleck, I've been very vocal about, I think Ben Affleck is the best Batman. Debatable. It's maybe a toss-up between him and the last one. I forgot his name already. But
Christian Bale?
Yeah, but best Bruce Wayne by a mile. And I think Batman and Bruce Wayne are two different characters for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm really, really high on Ben Affleck as Batman, and a lot of people shit all over him for being Batman.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of negative stuff about it, but I'm a big Ben Affleck guy in general.
Right.
I mean, you got to kind of look at it this way. I mean, I pointed this out to someone, and they kind of looked at me and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're right." Pointed it out, like, because everyone says, "Well, he played a shitty Daredevil." I was like, "Well,
that was awful."
Yeah, I was like, "Look at this though. Ryan Reynolds played Green Lantern.
Yep.
Horrible movie. Then he's
Deadpool.
Deadpool, amazing.
Yep.
Chris Evans played Human Torch in Fantastic Four. That was a god awful movie. And now he's fucking Captain America. Great. And Ben Affleck, Daredevil. Now he's Batman.
Just gotta find that right role.
Yeah. They gotta find that superhero that fits him right, and I think Ben Affleck killed it as Batman.
Because not everybody can play it the same, and I just piggybacking off Daredevil. I don't know if you've seen the Netflix Daredevil series, but the dude who plays Daredevil, that series in general on Netflix, Daredevil's such a good fucking show. I don't know, have you seen any of that?
Yeah, I've seen maybe 4 or 5 episodes. I haven't gotten deep into it, but from what I've seen, it's amazing.
Man. And then in season 2, they brought in the Punisher for the whole season.
Ooh.
And he's going to be getting his own spin-off. And I've seen the Punisher movies, and I thought they were okay. The dude who plays Punisher in the Netflix series is, to me, I mean, he made me a big-time Punisher fan. He just killed it, man. It's such a good show.
Yeah, it takes that certain actor or actress to bring out the best in the character. I mean, you really got to have that personality to bring out a superhero or villain in general. Going to Marvel, but Thor, I hate him as an actor. All his other movies I thought were terrible, but I think he's amazing as Thor. I thought he was great.
And, going back full circle to Joker, I never criticized Jared Leto's acting of the role. He certainly played a different Joker than Ledger, and I'm a big mark for Ledger. I think that was the greatest role that was ever played in any movie ever. But Leto's a good actor, and he played a good Joker. What my hang-up is his goddamn look, man. The tattoos, the bling-bling,
the teeth.
I don't like it. I don't like the bling. I don't like the tattoos. I don't like how he's so slicked down and just, I don't know.
Yeah, see, I kind of had a little concept in my head of why they might have done that, because if you look at the end of Dark Knight Rises, they kind of have that cop swinging in as Robin, per se, and he kind of takes over the Batcave. But then we go into this new movie, and Batman's Ben Affleck, a much older gentleman.
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, if he was in Arkham Asylum for however many years this time space is supposed to be, maybe, I think me and you had talked about this at one of the wrestling shows, maybe got some prison style tattoos while he was in Arkham or something like that, it could be something like that, and I don't know exactly why they picked that style. I kind of like it just because it's a newer, fresh look. I mean, it's nothing that the comics have portrayed him to look like, but I don't know. It's something that's kind of a fresher look. And I usually hate when they don't go by the exact comic book look, but I kind of liked it. I don't know, but that's to each his own.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with trying a new thing. It just, I don't know, it just didn't really click for me. But I definitely want to see more from him. I want to see, him play a bigger part in an upcoming movie, and I think, he's a good actor, so. Transitioning away from that, I wanted to talk a little bit about the wrestling stuff. How did you end up getting involved in wrestling?
You. Well, getting involved in wrestling as a fan?
No, just when actually getting in the ring and being involved in as a wrestler. Was that first show that you got involved in that I brought you in on?
Yep, that was all thanks to you, buddy.
And then you just kept working from there. Even after I left UPW, you just kind of stuck with it.
Striding towards that, because I was always backyard wrestler, and that was that was a huge passion for me way before music even. Like, I wanted to be a pro wrestler before I ever wanted to be a rapper.
Right, me too.
And backyard wrestling, like, I've made, like, almost legit, I would say, like, 80% legit rings before. Like, me and my friends took months making rings in our backyard that were actually not trashy rings. They were pretty good rings. And we just tried from there and practice. And actually, the friend that I wanted to pursue that with in UPW kind of just flopped out. Like, he just said it wasn't for him, couldn't handle the training, whatever it was, and I kept pursuing it.
What was the coolest thing or your favorite thing that you were involved with in wrestling?
I would have to say it was called the Destruction of Lil Dymez. And it was when I went against Peter. I went against Peter BW.
Is that when he just, like, massacred you in the ring?
Straight massacred me.
Now, talk about that a little bit, because I saw the video of that, and I think that might have been when I was still beefing with the UPW folks, and I saw that, and it looked like a shoot. You know, it looked like he was just really beating the fuck out of you. What was going on?
He was really beating the fuck out of me. What we did was, because a lot of people were throwing the wrestling is fake kind of thing out, just talking a little shit about UPW. And Peter had this idea of a fans bring weapons match, you know? And he put this little dumpster trash can thing out in front and just had people bring stuff and throw it in there. And, you know, we kind of talked, and I said, you know, I'm down. Let's run it. There was absolute no script or anything to do with that match. It was just, let's run it. Let's go with the flow, and whatever happens. And I thought it was pretty good. I thought it went pretty well.
So there was no heat there. There was no issue. It didn't turn sour. There wasn't anything he was mad at you about. This was a strategic plan between the two of you that you talked out to make this look as real as possible, or just make it real, flat out.
It was just flat out make it real.
Okay. And, well, you were in on it. That was something that you guys had talked about going in.
Yeah, and it was a pretty good idea.
People got pissed. I seen a lot of comments online and stuff. People were pissed at Pete, talking about taking liberties with people, and just there was a lot of talk about that incident.
Yeah, there was a lot of bad that I heard from it. A lot of people saying that it was too violent, but it was like, well, you guys probably shouldn't have talked shit saying wrestling was fake in the first place. Because I mean, I had injuries that went months on from that match.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean, you've seen the video at the end where I got powerbombed on that bed of nails. Mm-hmm. That left holes in my back for like 2 months. And he had broken a beer bottle from a fan. That was a real beer bottle, and he stabbed me in the head with it for real. And like, I had this big gash in my head for a long time.
Damn.
Yeah, everything to do with that match was completely real, and it made me feel really good as far as the match went, even though I just got my ass handed to me the whole time. But it was like, I don't know, it gave me a little opportunity to show that I could take the hardcore style. Because the match before that, I flopped. That whole match was an abomination.
And then I remember the most recent show. Me and you were at the last show that I saw you at there. Me and you sat in the back and bullshit pretty much the entire show until, except for when you had to go out there and when I had to go out there. And I remember they had, there was like, 2 tables stacked up outside the ring. And I remember you were like, you were asking me, you're like, how do I take a bump through a table? It's like, I don't know, man, just do it. And I saw that. I saw you took it like a champ too. You went right through that. You didn't get hurt or nothing. It didn't seem like
flying through 2 tables. That was an experience. That was the first time I went through, like a real table, nonetheless, 2 at once. It was pretty exciting, but I was pretty knocked for a loop on that one.
Yeah, did fuck you up a little bit there?
Just a little bit, yeah. I was more dazed from the back pain from the table than my head hitting the ground. Like a piece of the table when it broke jabbed me in the back, and it caused me some pain, and I just passed out from the pain for a second.
You seemed fine when you came back.
Oh yeah, the adrenaline kicked in by then. But when it happened, in the moment when it happened, like just uncontrollable nausea, headache, just passed out for a second. I was just out.
Oh shit. Yeah, I had to go through a table one time. Rick had a tables match with Jordy Lee, and the table didn't break. I ran out to interfere and help Jordy beat Rick, and then he just kind of fell through the table, but it didn't break. Like the legs just kind of folded and it just flopped on the floor. So they were supposed to just beat my ass. Pete came out, and it was like a SWO reunion or whatever, and with Rick, and they were supposed to beat my ass, but the table didn't break, so they got me, and they're like, so you got to go through the table, right? And they just kind of told me this in the ring on the spot. I'm like, okay, let's do it, And fucking, yeah, I believe there was 3 attempts to try to put me through that table. It just wouldn't break. I got hip tossed into it, and then something else, and then I think Pete just ended up coming in and spearing me through it. It was ridiculous.
Just a bunch of attempts, yeah. Some things don't work out like it's planned, but that's kind of the beauty and the humor later on.
Yeah, they were like, I think it was Rick, and when we were in the ring, he's like, let's suplex him through it. And I was like, no, I'm not, no. I'm not trained. I'm not taking no goddamn suplex. I don't know how to do that. But,
no suplex bump.
Yeah. I'll go through the table, but I'll get speared or something. But
right.
Yeah, it's the fun of wrestling. It's cool
I love
shit,
it.
Doing that stuff.
And honestly, I mean, through just UPW, I've gotten to meet a lot of the people that I really enjoyed watching as a child, and I mean even now as an adult, I like watching their old matches, new matches, whatever you have,
Just the different names that they bring in, bigger names.
Well, older, bigger names like the ECW guys. I mean, Sabu, Rhino, Raven.
Right.
Them. I mean, I paid for Raven to come here once, and just being able to meet him he's my favorite out of all time, any wrestler. I like the high flyers and stuff, but all-time favorite, I like Raven. He's been one that I always liked, his WCW flock, just the way he runs himself. I like that.
What tell me a little bit about what's the name of the show? Branden Cage Tries Everything?
Branden Cage Tries Everything, yes. It's a new TV network, internet style, trying to run with the new style of doing things. And it's something that I'm going to definitely work on more of this coming winter, and then next summer. Gonna tackle more on that after album stuff is first priority, and then that's gonna be something I'm gonna work on in downtime, because I had this little idea, because I like to do really ridiculous things, that I would just come up with a group of people and we just panned out a lot of different really shitty situations. It started off with simple stunts, but I didn't want it to be just some Pain Olympic type style,
Right.
It's not just going to be things that bring me pain,
right,
but things that bring you adrenaline rushes, things that most people are scared to do. I want to have skydiving on there, because I know a lot of people say they want to, but they're scared to, things like that. And I've went 3 times where you jump with somebody, and now I'm at the point where I can jump alone. So
You've been skydiving before?
Yeah, you have to go the place I went anyways, down in Wisconsin, you have to go 3 times with somebody,
Right.
and then the 4th time you can jump alone. So I figured the 4th time when I jump alone, I want that on video. I want to figure out however I have to watch me jump out of this airplane, because I know everybody, at least in their mind, it's an idea that they want to do, but it's something scary for everybody, regardless.
Yeah, I'm in that boat. How the hell was that? Like, what's it like jumping out of an airplane?
It's the scariest thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Is it fun at all, or is it just sheer terror and just please let me land
Not sheer
safe?
terror, no. The first time I jumped out, I'm not even gonna lie, I'm pretty sure there was some shit in my pants at the end of that. I'm not gonna front, there was a little duty in there. But it gives you such fear right away that your adrenaline in your body kicks up so high that you honestly get a high off it, like adrenaline high.
Mm-hmm.
And I had done bungee jumping and things like that before, but nothing's like skydiving. There's nothing like that.
Yeah, I'm on that list of people that, a huge part of me wants to do it. Because, I mean, you just gotta experience something like that, to live your life. That's a moment, an experience for a lifetime, But at the same time, I mean, terrifying. I mean, I'm scared of heights. I can't even ride the rides at the fucking fair anymore, dude. I used to when I was a kid all the time, and now I'm just terrified of heights. I don't know how I could manage on a fucking jumping out of a plane.
Yeah, see, that's kind of why I want to do this little network thing. And as I stated, I don't want it to just be about pain. Because I think everything I have on there right now is basically that. I do have some pictures of contests I did at the gathering where I drank this ridiculous smoothie.
Yeah, wasn't it like cow balls or some shit like that?
Yeah, it was blended up bull testicles, cow brain, tripe, which is the intestine lining, swamp water from lake hepatitis at the gathering.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's the worst part. I'd be more worried about that than the cow balls.
Yeah, that's the worst part for me, too. And then it was like sardines and mayo or something like that also blended in it.
If people listening to this, if they don't know what lake hepatitis is, this is the most terrifying part of that entire thing that you drank. I mean, this is the most polluted body of water you will ever see in your entire life.
Yeah,
people swim in it freely.
Yeah, that's one thing I can say. Only juggalos will swim in that water. Because there's some dark shit in there.
Yeah, especially as the days go on, you might be able to get away with it like the first day you're there or something. By like the third or fourth day, forget about it, man.
Once you hit day 4, if you're a woman swimming in that lake, you're getting pregnant.
Yeah. You can't even take a shit in the porta potties by day 3 or 4. I mean, it's just
no.
Oh man,
that's one evolutionary thing I do have to say I appreciate about the new gatherings, because the last few that I've went to, they actually have clean, and they have people clean it on either a daily or a semi-daily basis. So, like, the showers actually aren't as nasty as they were in Cave in the Rock.
The only good thing, like, when I was there, by the time it gets to the 3rd or 4th day where the porta potties are that bad, it kind of coincides with running out of drinking water and running out of money for food. So you don't really physically have to shit anyway.
Right.
So it kind of works out in your favor that way.
Right.
So
I'm kind of... Go on.
No, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's one thing I do appreciate of the new gathering spots. A little upset that the next gathering isn't going to be at that spot, because I did appreciate and enjoy the Ohio spot.
So I want to touch on the gathering. Let's finish up on the Branden Cage Tries Everything, though. So essentially, this is like a YouTube video, right? And this is like essentially like maybe Fear Factor meets Jackass, kind of something to that effect.
Right. Yeah, just kind of all that kind of stuff blended in. And if you've seen any of the videos on it, like there's one I pierced my cheek, and I had the idea while I was incarcerated, actually, and I did it with a bobby pin while I was in jail. And that's where I kind of racked my brain about the idea of a Branden Cage Tries Everything channel. So I thought about it, and yeah, kind of Jackass, Fear Factor, and just things that people might want to try or have absolutely no desire to try. Like, I ate a scorpion. That was weird.
A live scorpion?
I ate one in a candy, and then I ate a live scorpion, and that's going to actually be on a DVD I want to put out for the Branden Cage Tries Everything.
See, I'd eat one in a candy, but I don't know. When you eat a live scorpion, is that head first? Is that poisonous tail first?
I ate it head first, and they told me not to eat the tail. So I
you
just
ate the whole thing but the tail?
Yeah, the whole thing but the tail, and you can see where the venom pouches is. Like, it's pretty much lengthwise through the whole tail.
Kind of like eating a shrimp or something. You just kind of bite to the little, just like a shrimp. No harm in it.
That little fucker pinched the shit out of my tongue while I was eating it, too. That probably hurt worse out of most of the things I did for the DVD that I want to work on for it. And, just things that maybe people don't want to try, but it kind of looks like, I'd watch that. Oh, no.
Right
I'm still kind of racking my brain on different ideas for it, but I want to save a couple punches for surprises. But there is one on there that I have to say was very dumb, but it made me laugh once I watched the video of it. And it was right around when winter was ending. I went to the West Gladstone Bridge. I'm sure you know where that is.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there's still a big, thick-ass layer of ice. And we went to the other side, and my cousin threw a brick off of it, and it just smashed through. So I was like, all right, fuck it, run it. And she videoed me, and I jumped off the West Gladstone Bridge in a cannonball and just crushed his eyes.
Nice. That's on film?
Yep.
Dope.
Yep, so that's the one thing that I'm going to throw in there, too. It's just little ridiculous things along with some, something you might want to try, might not. I don't know. Kind of a mixture of everything. I want to get a little bit of everything in there. And things like skydiving, bungee jumping.
I think it's a cool idea, because, nowadays, and that's just like me doing this podcast here and, everything else. I think it's, you got to kind of be your own brand at this point and not just a rapper, not just a wrestler. You do a little bit of everything, you got your wrestling, you got your rapping, you got your web show, whatever else is going on, you're kind of like you're your own entertainment brand, you're providing anybody that's following you as, as a fan or, whatever, you're giving them lots of content that they can enjoy, not just music, which is cool.
Right. Yeah, you can't be a one-trick pony in this industry.
Yeah, you got to be your own brand nowadays. I respect the shit out of you for that, because that's how it's done. That's how you get where you're going,
Yeah. So,
towards the end here, a couple other questions for you. We did talk a little bit about the gathering. Next year, it's gonna. You said you're kind of sad it's not gonna be in the same place. Denver, man.
Denver. Yeah.
I haven't been to a gathering since 2010. So that was at the. Forgot the name of the place, but it was with the lake cap and the drug bridge and all that.
Yeah, Cave and Rock.
Yeah. So if I'm ever gonna go to another gathering, I'm really thinking Denver might be the place to do it.
I think so too. I don't know what kind of venues, well, not venue, but festival style areas they really have, and I really wish you would have got to go to one at the Ohio spot, because the Ohio spot was just a beautiful spot. But I think that they can make something really good work with this Denver spot, wherever it may be.
Yeah, I think they must have a good plan for it if they're going to move it, you know.
Yeah, because I know they're welcome back in Ohio, but they must have just had a either really good deal, spot, or idea with this one. I mean, Denver is definitely where it's at. Colorado in general.
Yeah, I mean, just everybody says how awesome of a place it is, even before they legalize weed. I mean, that's just a perk to be able to go into a store and buy whatever kind of weed they have sitting there. I mean, I want to go partially just because of that, but I mean,
yeah, me too. Me too.
On top of that, though, I mean, to have a gathering there too, and just to see Denver, you know, I'd want to almost kind of get out of the gathering a little bit too, and kind of just roam around and see the city a little bit too. So I think if I'm ever going to go back, that's going to be the place I do it at. Are you planning on going to that one?
Oh, I'm going for sure. I have, like I stated earlier in our interview here, touring is number one on my list prior to, you know, releasing the album, to promote touring. But I have some good opportunities ahead of me as far as that goes, and the gathering is definitely one of them. And I'm going to take that spot immediately. I was upset with this last one because I'm not allowed, you know, at that point in time, wasn't allowed to leave the state. And I had a good opportunity in front of myself, and I couldn't take it. And I was really upset that I couldn't take it.
Yeah, that's fucked up, but I mean, you know, there's always next year, and, you know,
yeah.
I'm hoping to possibly be there. I kind of plan on it. I'm about 75% sure I want to be there. You know, it'll just kind of come down to financials and else
sure.
arrangements. But like I said, if I'm ever going to go back to one, I think that's the one to do it. Explain for anybody that hasn't been to a gathering. I mean, this isn't just, I mean, it is the gathering of the juggalos, but it's not just a bunch of ICP stuff. I mean, this is something anybody could go to and really have a lot of fun if they go into it with an open mind, right?
You're right. That's exactly it, too, because I think a lot of people's misconception of the gathering of the juggalos is that they're just going to go see a bunch of bands like ICP, and that's totally not it.
No, they have all kinds of artists.
Yeah, all sorts of different genres of either rap, rock, punk. They always have something different, like Mushroom Head, and they had In This Moment there. I mean, they have different hip-hop groups and different genres of hip-hop that, you know, you don't see every day.
Not to mention your other shit. I mean, Charlie Sheen's been to the goddamn gathering.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, see, the thing, I love the concerts, don't get me wrong. I mean, but the thing I love most about that place is the things not on the timeline. Like, they give you that big timeline.
Yeah.
The things that aren't on that are my favorite parts of the gathering. Just getting around, meeting people, different side parties that people have, different little freak show side things that they got going on that's not even mentioned in the damn promotion. You know, that stuff's the best part of it.
Yeah, it's true debauchery and fun at the same time. Filthy, though. Completely filthy. I mean...
Oh, yeah, it is. It's somewhere where you're not going to want to wear your best clothes. And for some stupid reason, I always go in my best clothes. And I always come back and just hate myself. I'm like, why did I wear my brand new Jordans or something? I wore Jordans at the 2014 gathering, and I came back real pissed off at myself because I'd just bought them like a month before and wore them like twice. Yeah. Came back with... You know, I'm sure you know Gathering Foot.
Oh, yeah.
Came back with Gathering Foot and just smelt my shoes, and I instantly just threw them on a telephone where I'm like, nope, never wearing these again.
The worst was the Gathering of 2006, and Boondocks actually raps about it. He says he's got that line, dirtier than the Gathering of 2006. That year, it was... they did it... The place where they held it at was like a horse pasture, I think. it was the area had flooded, so it was really wet and muddy, but it wasn't quite mud. It was kind of a whole bunch of horse shit and a bunch of other dirty, nasty stuff, and it was like pretty much everybody was just walking around, stomping around in a bunch of shit the whole time. And it was, I mean, you could smell it. It smelled,
Yeah.
it was the nastiest thing. And it was like, we pitched our tent up on a little bit of a hill, so we were in kind of a dry area. But it was like one of those things where the first day you're there, you're trying your damnedest to, you know, like you're trying to step around puddles and like just doing everything you can, trying to hop around on rocks and stuff to just not get dirty or wet. And then it's like, by the second day, you just give in. You're just like, fuck it. You don't even wear your shoes. You're just running around in the shit barefoot. You just you have to give in because there's no way to avoid it, and you just embrace the filth.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, though, too. I mean, whether you like it or not, you just got to deal with whatever's in front of you. And I think the gathering itself, I mean, I've been to other festivals. I've been to like Electric Forest and some of the other festivals that are widely advertised, like Warped Tour or whatever it may be, and even like Country USA, Rock USA. I've been to a bunch of different things, but the gathering itself, and not just because I'm a juggalo or because I love that music. Like I said, I love the concerts, but the atmosphere and the people themselves, that's what makes that the best place that I've ever been to. I mean, I've met lifetime friends there that I never knew before. You know, it's just like I've met them and an instant at that moment in time when I met them, lifetime friends. And you don't get that anywhere else. And just people I can relate to, talk to, and just hang out with like they were my best friend my whole entire life, but I met them a day ago.
Yeah, it's a lot of like-minded people and a lot of open-minded people. You know, everybody's friendly. Nobody's judging. Nobody's being haters or being, you know, rowdy or violent. Or, you know, it's just kind of a happy, mellow place to be, you know?
Yeah, people expect a lot of violence, which, I mean, you get those little sideshows where they're doing, like, backyard wrestling. Yeah, they get that violent, but as far as like people hurting each other on purpose, that's not really what, you know, I don't see that at all, really. I mean, if someone stole from someone, but they're not really juggalos.
Right, they don't belong to begin with then.
Yeah. I mean, I was at the 2012 gathering when they had the Juggalo Justice where we ripped that guy's car apart. I mean, I
saw videos of that poor guy. I don't even think that was his car. It was like his girlfriend's or something.
Yeah, it was his girlfriend's, but I mean, he took stuff from me. He took stuff from a lot of people that were close to me, and I mean, when he got caught, he started breaking everybody's valuable stuff in front of him. What did he expect to happen when you're surrounded by a bunch of juggalos and you start breaking our cool shit?
Yeah.
You know?
What the fuck was he thinking? He deserved it, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I had, it was an orange Riddle box tape that my older brother had gotten from me at an ICP concert back when Riddle
Rare
box
as fuck.
Rare as fuck. There's barely any of them in the world. And he stole that. And when he got caught, in front of my eyes, that guy broke that thing in half. And that was like, you know, the sentimental value of that, not only that, but the worth value, money-wise, ridiculous. Because, I mean, it was the ICP signing the next day, and I was going to have ICP sign it and show him, like, hey, I got this. You know, this is rare as fuck. I know you guys will appreciate me still holding on to it in this condition, you know?
Right.
And having them sign it would make the value better. So I was just pissed as fuck seeing this guy break my shit. So we all tore that motherfucker's car right up. But again, he didn't belong to begin with.
Alright, well, at the end here, anything else you want to plug or promote or just kind of get off your chest?
Well, yeah. I will definitely promote my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Lil Dymez 10. That's LILDYMEZ, the number 10. And then everything else, link-wise, is pretty much on there. My SoundCloud with all my music is soundcloud.com/Branden, BRANDEN, and then a dash, Cage, CAGE. And all my music's on there. That's for free for everyone to listen to. All my other links are on my Facebook as far as Twitter, Reverb, and all that other stuff goes. But those are my two main ones that are really socially used.
All right, and where can people find some of these Branden Cage Tries Everything videos?
The Branden Cage Tries Everything videos, if you look up Branden Cage Tries Everything on Facebook, there will be links through my Amazon sponsorship I will be posting DVDs on Amazon. And that's where you will be able to purchase them. Some of the videos are on the Branden Cage Tries Everything page that links right to my YouTube channel. But as far as the actual DVD goes, I'm plugging it through Amazon like I do my albums, and when it is out, the page will tell you.
Well, right on, man. It was good talking to you, good catching up. I mean, nothing but love for you. You know, we always have good conversations when I do see you. You know, wish nothing but the best for you and all your shit you got going forward.
Oh, yeah, same to you, man. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Got nothing but love.
All right, well, you have a good one. Take it easy, buddy.
Oh, yeah, you too, man.
Later.